In this tutorial, we're going to look at how using product sales analysis or product line analysis can help to better understand or explain sales performance for a company. This is part 2 in the video series that looks at the example of J&J Corporation. In part 1, we determined that the company is experiencing a decline in market share, and so now we're going to try to find out why that is. This part of the problem provides you with 2 tables worth of information. The first one gives you product line performance, gives you 3 different product lines that the company sells, gives you some information as to what the company expected to sell, data on what they actually sold, as well as industry sales for each of the 3 product categories. The second table provides information that will allow us to compare sales performance for the company year over year from 2011 to 2012. So we're going to jump over to a spreadsheet to look at these and analyze them a little bit. We first want to understand what the company's product line performance is like and how the product lines themselves are interacting. So we're first going to see how well the company did against its expectations. And so for each of the products that they sell, we're going to compare what they actually sold to what they expected to sell. And this is looking at dollar sales. So for the television product category, for instance, we can compare the company's actual sales to their forecast by subtracting the forecast from the actual sales and then dividing by the forecast. We see that the sales in dollars for televisions, actually the forecast was low, and we sold 27% more in dollars than we expected to. Similarly, we sold less in the DVD sector, so this product line didn't perform as well as expected, and in fact the dollar sales were down 29% from the forecast. And the digital DVD category or digital TV category was up by 154%. So overall, company sales against the forecast were down. That means that the company sold less than they expected to or generated less revenue than they expected to. So how the performance of each of these products impacts the company can be in part determined by what percentage of the company's sales is represented by each of the different lines. And this is a simple calculation where you take the sales for any given product line divided by the total sales for the company, and you understand what share that product line represents. So for J&J Corporation, TVs represent 20%, DVDs 60%, and digital TV 20%. We can compare that distribution to that of the industry by performing the same calculation using industry sales. So here, if we take the dollar sales for televisions for the industry divided by the total industry sales, we can see that televisions represent 47% of the industry sales as compared to J&J's 20%. 20% of sales in the industry are for DVDs, 60% for J&J, and 32 versus 20 for digital TV. This does tell us something. Overall, there seems to be a bigger market for televisions, and comparatively, J&J doesn't mirror this distribution. The smallest part of the sector is in DVDs, which represents the largest component of J&J's sales. That in of itself might indicate some challenges, but we'll continue and see what else we can find out. The product line sales data from 2011 to 2012 might give us an indication of what's trending, what's happening over time. We are trying to figure out why sales dollars are in decline, and therefore we have 2 variables that we need to look at. It could be that the sales decline is a result of selling fewer units at the same price, fewer units at a lower price, or it could be that we are selling more units but at a lower price. And so we kind of need to understand where the decline is coming from. In order to do that, we can calculate the per unit price for each of the product lines for each year. You do this by taking the sales dollars and divide by the unit sales for that product line. We did that for each of the 3 products for both 2011 and again for 2012. And this allows us to see how the price has changed year over year. So for televisions, our price has gone up. DVDs, it's gone down, and digital TV has remained the same. By taking that into account, along with how the unit sales have changed, we can figure out where the decline is coming from. All three product categories for J&J saw an increase in unit sales from 2011 to 2012. However, despite an increase in unit sales, the reduction in price for DVDs ended up creating a reduction in sales dollars over the 2 years. So this means that for the DVD category, the company is actually selling more units, but because they're selling each of them at a lower price, the sales have significantly declined. This can create a problem for a company. You're now manufacturing more products, so you have greater costs, variable costs certainly associated with that. If you're beyond your capacity, that can create additional costs as well. So there's certainly something of concern going on here. This is even more concerning, recognizing that 60% of the company's business is vested in this particular product category. And it seems that that is a really high proportion as compared with the industry. So the question asks you to perform calculations that are relevant to understanding product performance, and those are summarized in those two tables that we've created. Once you have those tables, you are asked, what critical issue can you identify for the company by analyzing the financial data? And there's probably many different ways to phrase this, but here's one. We have a product line that accounts for 60% of the company's sales. However, this particular product line represents only 20% of the industry sales. And this could have several implications. One of them is that if we combine this information with the 40% decline in selling price per unit, we get an indication that this product is in the decline stage of the product life cycle. Perhaps the product needed to be discounted in order to get rid of back inventory or any number of other product-related challenges. It could also be that the downward pressure on price is a function of competitors moving on to other products because demand is shrinking. And so there's a downward market pressure on price, and that's negatively affecting the market share. Remember, J&J's market share was calculated in dollars, so a reduction in their revenue will impact their dollar market share. The critical issue here is the company's reliance on a declining segment.